My name is Julie Kennedy, and I would like to welcome you to today's IAPC&M CPD and Business Building Masterclass. Today in the hot seat, we have the wonderful Tony Vee. So welcome, Tony.
Thank you.
Lovely seeing you. Now, first, just rapidly some housekeeping. Our call today will be a maximum of 1 hour, including 15 minutes Q&A. The session is recorded, so please mute yourself when you're not asking questions, but do keep your video on because it makes it nicer for the speaker to not just be talking to themselves. And as you see, I've put a message in the chat box. Please use that for any questions and suggestions as we make this as useful a tool as possible. Now, we are very lucky to have Tony with us today. So the ever popular VIP, which I understand stands for very important pensioner, Tony Vee, and his lovely wife, Nikki. Oh, lovely idea. So anyway, Tony and his lovely wife, Nikki, are spending the month of September with us during 5 masterclasses. Today, however, I'm delighted to be hosting Tony alone, where we will be talking about the myth of overnight success and talking about how Tony has grown this amazing business, built a reputation and a brand, and is loved by thousands of coaches all around the world, and is a beautiful legacy. So grab your CPD pads, listen attentively to this 45-minute masterclass, soaking up Tony's wisdom, which he generously shares with us during his 1-week holiday in Sardinia. So full marks, Tony, for a commitment here, truly appreciated. And over to you.
Fantastic. So, yeah, welcome and thanks for joining live. And I get that there'll be people watching it on the recording as well. So that's all good. Obviously, if you do have questions, you dive in and ask away. I'm not really a questions at the end man. I much more do it in the moment. So do, open your mic and put your hand up or whatever that's going to look like. And let's sort of answer it there and then. Now, look, I offered to do this. And I made a video series about this back in, I think, 2018, 2019, which you're absolutely welcome to have. And basically, it's a 10-day program where you watch a video every day for 10 days, building up some knowledge and wisdom, if indeed, there are 2 aspects to it, really. I did call it getting your first paying client. So, look, I'm guessing that lots of people in the IAPC&M have already had their first clients, but that's cool. There's always lots to be learned, no matter what angle you come from. And also, I think it's about increasing your sales. Where else can I get more clients? Well, I don't like that how to get, because I'm not a lover of that phrase, but sometimes you have to use it. So, but it's getting quality clients. I think having people move towards you that are prepared to pay you more cash than perhaps some of us think is possible. So I'm going to share the 10 steps. Now, look, some of it you're going to know, so please don't turn off just because you go, oh, I think I know that. I might have some little distinctions, or you might have a question about it that will make, bring you more clarity. And as that good old Tony Robbins saying goes, clarity is power. The more clarity you have, the more power you have in your hands to assist more people and obviously earn more money. So these 10 videos will be available. I can pop the links in the chat, or I'm sure the team can send out the links. Obviously, Nikki, this was made at a time when Nikki and myself joined our business with our incredible son, well, my stepson, Nikki's baby, Nick James. So I don't know if you've come across Nick James, famous for Expert Empires, which is going live any day there, back in London at the Hilton Hotel. And I made these videos in the early days when we put Master Coach together with what was then called Seriously Fun Business, now called Expert Empires. And I also created, along with the marketing team there, a workbook, which is actually really, very powerful. They don't use it anymore because they keep upgrading it as you do. So I know it's sitting there as an asset, and I thought I could give you that as well, which is how to earn your first 50K as a coach. If you haven't already achieved that, there's some really great steps in there, and I'm happy to give you the link. I made sure it's all working so we can, as I say, pop them in the chat box, or make sure anybody watching it after can have that as well, because it's super valuable, even if there's always little trinkets in there. So let's kick it off. Now, I did do a bit of a slide, so I'm going to slide my screen. I think I'm on shared screen. Let me just see. Can you see that? We got a thumbs up for that? No. So maybe I need to share my screen in a different way. Oh, yes, here we go. Here we go. How about this? Share screen. Oh, there you go. So these are the steps, really. So number one step, if you want to get your first client or you want to build your coaching business, is always going to be mindset. So, and you would have heard this 1,000 times, but I have a unique way of sharing this with you. So you've got your workbooks and your pens, as I always say. I'm going to ask you, well, 3 questions with a supplementary question tagged on the end. So one of our favorite, Nikki and mine's favorite question, I don't know whether you would be used to using it yourselves, but it's the good old 0 to 10 question. It's very good for eliciting things from people as to where they are. So let's try it out on you. If you've never used it, I recommend using it. If you use it regularly, it's always good to use it on yourself. So my first question is, when you think of yourself as a coach right now, and if you had to score yourself out of 10, 10 would be, I am the best I can be. I am amazing. I'm an amazing coach. Yeah, I am fantastic. And 0 would be, do you know what? I've just got started. I don't really know what I'm doing. You know, what number jumps out at you? I always say, go for your first number that jumps out at you and write that number down. So super simple, intuitive number. Just pop it on a piece of paper. It's well worth doing this, yeah? So second question, as a coach, when you think of your marketing skills, on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 is, do you know what? I've got that whole marketing thing cracked. That's what I'm really good at. And 0 is, do you know what? I have no clue about how to market myself as a coach. What number jumps out at you right now? Pop that number on a piece of paper. And then the third question is, when you think of your closing skills, so imagine a client coming towards you, they're interested in having you as a coach. When you think of your ability to take the money off them and then obviously deliver, that's not the delivery, it's more about taking their money. So we call it closing the deal. So 10 would be, do you know what? Somebody comes towards me, I'm really good at that. I can make sales, no problem at all as a coach. And 0 is, oh my goodness me, that's the bit I hate most. I find it really difficult, don't really know what I'm doing. So pop your number 0 to 10 for closing your clients down, get the money in the bank. So now we don't have to do any trigonometry or any of that Pythagoras theorem, but it's a good idea to just add those 3 numbers together. So I call this getting yourself your coach's score. This is where I'm at right now. Now, some of us are a bit over generous. Some of us are a bit on the shy side and underscore ourselves. But look, it's your score. You wrote them down. So my thing is, to be really, really successful at a coach, you need to be scoring 24 or more. 24 or more. So if you haven't scored 24, then we've got a bigger gap. If you've scored 24, look, you're doing great. And we've still perhaps got a bit of a gap. So whatever you've got, unless you've scored 30, you've still got a gap. So our question is always, well, what's in your gap? And that's how you do the 0 to 10 question. You're always finding out, like, so you're getting the person to elicit, you're eliciting the score from them, and then you're focusing as the coach on the gap. So, you know, I've done this with hundreds, maybe thousands of people, and it's actually quite rare to get people that are more than 24, which is interesting, isn't it? Like, you know, I go, that's so interesting. So, of course, as you get more used to doing, you know, coaching, being a coach, the more experience you get, the better you get. Of course, the more you get good at marketing, then the better you score. And the same, the more you do closing, the better you get at. So when we're out, perhaps at the beginner's end, then the score can be a bit light. So I think that's the first 3 questions. Where are you? And then we need to be focusing on what's in your gap, finding what that is, and then turning up the dial. So my 4th sort of supplementary question, and this is a super important question, definitely something that you can ask if a coaching client comes towards you, and something me and Nikki are really big on, really big on. And that is, trying to coach somebody who hasn't what I call got their hand up high saying, I'm open to having you as a coach, then it becomes, if they haven't got their hand up really, but they're sort of inquiring, it's really tough to coach those people. It's very tough. So I go, look, what is your level of commitment to move yourself to 24 if you haven't scored 24 or beyond towards 30, so that you really perfect that. So on a scale of 0 to 10, what's your commitment? 10 is, look, I'm 100% in, I've got my hand up, couldn't have it up any higher. And 0 is, you know what, this whole coaching lark, I'm not even sure it's for me. That would be like, I can't really be bothered is sometimes the words I use. So yeah, what's your number for that? Because, for me, you need, and if you can take a client on, I would be looking for them to give me at least an 8. Tony Robbins, again, I came from the Tony Robbins camp 20 years ago. I remember so many things that Tony Robbins says, it's crazy. But one of the things he said is that 7, if people score 7 or less, it's crap, because he swears a lot. So he used the crap word. So yeah, actually, if there's 7 or less, then their gap is too big. It's too big. Their commitment's not enough. It's not enough. So you need to find a way. And we always use, I think Nikki was on yesterday sharing that we use leverage. In other words, what's your pain? What's going to happen if you don't get this sorted? And sometimes that will click them up a peg or 2. But it is tough to coach people who are scoring 7 or less, because for me, they're in what I call okay land. And when they're okay, the inner desire to change things isn't high enough. So that's why that's a good question. And that's why as coaches, we need to be committed to mastering this part of getting clients. And then I always go, look, at the end of the day, you'll never have to ever worry about money again. If you get 24 or more on that scale, you just won't. The clients will come to you easily and you'll close them easily. And, it's a done deal. You're sort of the laptop coach sitting on the beach, living the dream type stuff, which everybody says is easy, but it's actually not. So mindset first, super important. I'm just going to check my other notes and see if there was anything else in there that I thought, oh, should mention that. Yeah, one of the things that actually I think it's probably just worth saying is that I always use this model, which is you're either you live in the red, so I call it a red coach, or you're a green coach. And this could be the devil coach, the red coach. I sometimes call it the if we're in the red, we're in the head. So we're sort of worrying, doubting, we can easily get frustrated and stuff like that. So sort of negative energies. Think of the red as being in negative energies, whereas the green is I call it the angel coach. And this is where we live in a confidence space, certain in ourselves, that sort of stuff. So yeah, you just have to ask yourself, look, how confident am I in myself? Is my confidence something that needs turning up as well? What do I need to do to get in the green so I believe in myself? Like, belief is such a big thing, that from coaching your own people. So I think that's just worth mentioning about mindset as well. So point 2, because we've only got a set amount of time, and that's why I'm very happy to give you the link to the videos, because I go through these. I think the first one's like a half-an-hour video, second one's probably similar, so there's a few hours worth of training, and it's really cool to watch them one day at a time, because that's the way I did it. So we're building on the videos one at a time, but here I'm going to fly through these. Now, niche, my guess is you would have heard that word until you're fed up with hearing it. Yeah. But actually it is so true. The wider your niche, and that's why we always spent our life going, so do not call yourself a life coach. I'm sure you've heard that 1,000 times. Don't generalize, because as we generalize, of course, our fear, the red part of us in our head, thinks that we need to generalize because we need to get clients from all over the place. Whereas the opposite is absolutely true. The more tight you are, then the more likely you are to get a client. So if you haven't got your niche, literally tied down, then I would really still continue to work on that. So one of my things here is to help with the niche is you need to think about people's pain first. Tony Robbins has another great say, and here I am, so like a Tony Robbins day today. I was just, as things come up intuitively, I go, well, I need to say that. But I think that's the third Tony Robbins thing that's come up. And Tony Robbins has this great saying, which you've never heard it. It's so brilliant. It's every coach should know this. And this is that he always says that people will do so much more to move away from pain than they will ever do to move towards pleasure. So in your marketing, I would go and check whatever it is you're doing and see whether your marketing is aimed primarily at people having more pleasure than they're currently having, or whether it's aimed more at the pain, the problem of what they're having. So if we took Tony Robbins saying at face value, people will do, he doesn't just say more, he says way more. Way more. So if somebody's in pain, they'll do way more to move away from that than they will ever do to move towards something that looks nice in a nice package. Something that we would call a nice to have. Because if it's a nice to have, it's not as valuable. So we need to think in niche about our clients' pain. And it's really cool to make a bit of a list. What are my clients' pains? Once you know what sector you're going to be in and you've narrowed it down, try and get it super niche, I call it. For example, Nikki and myself nowadays, because we've retired from coaching training, so to speak, to make our in semi-retirement a legacy product about our number one subject, which is actually intimate relationships. So we talk about, well, if you could say I'm a relationship coach, well, what does that mean? See how that's quite wide. So we always go, look, our thing is really, we're about couples. So we're not about singles. So immediately you've narrowed it down. Yeah. So you go to yourself, right, what's my thing? Can I narrow it down? And then you could go to that. And so we then talk about couples that are really struggling. So now we've taken out the ones that are, doing okay and would like to do a little bit better, because actually that's a very pleasurable thing. Yeah. So the people that are struggling with relationships, like right now, and if we ask the 0 to 10 question, I've created what do we call it? We call it a freebie, really, something we can give away called the Love Zones, where when I ask couples, what's your score for your intimate relationship? If you're in an intimate relationship, you can do this yourself right now as well. On a scale of 0 to 10, where am I with my intimate relationship? 10 will be it's the best it can be, and 0 is I'm ready to kill them right now. I've had enough, I'm out. So and what I did is I divided that into 4 sections. So if they score between 1 and 2, I'm saying they're in what I call the emergency zone. So this is where me and Nikki metaphorically put a blue light on the top of our car and we go straight to them, right, like today. Could we get to them today, get in their house and start coaching them? Because it's an emergency. It's like we call an ambulance in an emergency. Now, if they score 3 or 4, which is a very common score for people moving towards us, they're still seriously struggling. So they're thinking about divorce. Many people have one suitcase packed and they've got 1 foot out the door. Some of them already moved out, all that sort of stuff. So I call this the danger zone. If you don't take action, you are likely to be talking to a solicitor very soon. And you don't want to do that under any circumstances, because that is one of the most painful things in life you're ever going to have experience. And that's particularly true if you've got any money and you've got some decent assets, houses, cash in the bank, all that sort of stuff, and you've got kids that are still under your care. These are very painful things to deal with. So you can see how I broke the 0 to 10. Now, if I say if there are 5, 6 or 7, I say they're in the okay zone. And this is the most difficult zone to deal with them because they're sort of okay. So they're less likely to want help. They're thinking about it. They know things aren't right, but they're not really drawn to do something about it. And then our job is to get them into the love zone, which is 8, 9 or 10. So you go, right, how could we do that? That's sort of super niche. So we're taking couples that are really struggling. Really, we're looking for people that are scoring 1 to a 4. Sometimes they come and they go, well, I'm a -5. You know, well, that's definitely our sort of client. Yeah. So because we put the struggling word in, you can see how that makes it even tighter as a super niche. I'm looking at, I keep looking over to the side. Sorry about that. It's because I've got you all over the side. I'm going to put you at the top so I can look at you more. So that's what I'm talking about niche. So just think about your niche. How could I tighten it up? How could I make it, you know, more super niched? That's a good way to look at it. Now, then, you know, to get your first paying client, you have to be really good at putting a package together. And this is something that I think I have seen so many coaches get wrong. And I think, you know, look, I know I'm going to generalize a bit now, which is never that smart, but I've seen a lot of people come from other industries, like, for example, the counseling industry. They came to us, they're counselors, they've got counseling training certificates, and they want to learn some coaching skills, which is actually quite a different thing. So when we taught them that, but the challenge is what I see that them have is they're very used to selling their skill set by the hour and charging by the hour. And I always think that's not that smart. So the way I tend to think of it is to ask yourself a question. If you've never asked this question to yourself, it's very valuable, but it's also very simple. How much in a year would I like to earn as a coach? How much do I want to earn as a coach? Great question. You know, and then write your number down. Most of us, I guess, you know, some coaches end up doing this part-time, which I don't recommend, because that's like trying to cut yourself in half. You know, if you've got like 1 foot on in 2 different boats, you know, the boats start going off in their own direction, you fall in the water. So it's much better to be all in. And so being all in means that you need to earn a living out of it. And so there will be an amount of money, and sometimes it's good to go for 3 amounts of money. You know, what's the minimum? Nikki actually did this. She started coaching well before the turn of the century, which I can't believe I'm saying nowadays, but you are, aren't you? In the 1990s, Nikki became a coach. And because she had a very big corporate job, earned lots of money, but she asked herself a great question, which was, how little do I need to live on? How little do I need? And she came up with a number. I remember a number. It was £15,000. So in the 1990s, she could live on £15,000. At that time, in her corporate job, she was earning more than £100,000. But she thought, do you know what? I so want to do this. This fits my, you know, fills my heart with joy when I help people like this. You know, making money for some big corporate city company didn't, you know, float her boat. So, and she did do a bit of a transition. She definitely got it wrong first time. She absolutely got it wrong, went back to another corporate job. But actually what she did differently with her second corporate job is, instead of being like the big head honcho, she coached everybody in the team. And she got better results than ever before. So she practiced her coaching skills whilst in a corporate job, which she was a contract she took for a year. And then she really got it how to do this. So having a low number, a reachable, attainable number in your mind, was really smart for her. Now, it's good sometimes to have a, well, it would be nice to earn this. So she had a low number, but then she had a middle of the road number, and then she had what she called a dream number. So you might go, well, I can have 3 numbers. You know, my dream would be this. And Nikki's dream was to, you know, earn her six figures again in the end of the 1990s. And incredibly, within a year, she earned 6 figures. She always says, without a business card, without a website, just a handbag and a lipstick. That's all she had. And it's a great story, but it's true. So I think from our viewpoint, we want to know how much that is, because then we can work out how much is our package going to be. Because if you start working it out by the hour, and I promise you, there's still coaches out there charging £50 an hour and stuff like that, and we're in 2022. That's never going. You're going to fail. Your chances of making that work is you're going to fail. So if you want to earn, let's say, £50,000 and charge £50 an hour, you can do a calculation. It's not that difficult. There aren't enough hours in the day. There's not enough hours in the day for you to do all the marketing, all the sales, and do all the delivery to earn £50,000 when charging £50 an hour. It's just not possible. So it's much easier to sell a package, much easier to sell a package than it is to sell by the hour. So what does a package look like? Well, my thing is that if you want to earn £50,000, your package should not, in monetary terms, be less than £500. So whatever you sell, do not sell something for less than £500, because just do the maths. You got to sell 100 of those to take £50,000. Now that means you got to sell 2 a week. That means your marketing's got to be pretty good and your closing's got to be pretty good. Yeah, because for example, right now, if you got 10 people move towards you, how many of those people can you close into buying your package? How many? So it's probably, look, let's say you converted every other person. That means you need 4 leads a week, which is almost 1 a day. You know, it's almost 1 a day. So that is a pretty big marketing job you've got to do to get 4 leads a day so that you can sell something for £500 at a 50% success rate. So look, it makes loads of sense to sell it for more money. As long as you've got a good, strong mindset and you believe 150%, I was saying, not just 100's not good enough, that you can get this person a result with your coaching in whatever time frame, then if you believe that at a high enough level, then you will be able to sell your coaching for a higher price. You just will be able to, but you have to believe it deep inside of you. And so look, it makes more sense to do a coaching package for, if I said £500 was the bottom, you know, the thing that I would encourage coaches to do would be to think about more like £1,500. Now you can think about, what am I going to give them for £1,500? I was having this conversation with somebody the other day, actually, who I just met at a retreat. I was crazily on this retreat, and he runs like a yoga school in Reigate, south of London, yeah, on the a good old A23, halfway to Brighton from London. And you know, he was asking me, because in their yoga school, they've got lots of rooms, treatment rooms, and all sorts of stuff, and they do life coaching. And so, of course, they're selling it by the hour. And when I started talking to him about packages, and like, yeah, he did not understand what I meant. I had to explain it about 3 times. He's so fixed on, yeah, but hold on, what is a package then? You know, how many sessions is that? I said, look, it's not sessions. Just lose the word sessions, because that makes you think in how many sessions. So like, if I'm going to charge £1,500, he's going, well, how many sessions is that? I said, well, you're back into session mode. So don't think of it like that. Think of it like you are going to get a person a result. So you find out what they want to achieve, and then you're selling them that. You're not selling them sessions. Forget the sessions, because the sessions are about you. It's like your time. We have to think about, look, our job is to get them a result. That is what they're paying for. That's it. So if they've got a big ass problem, excuse me, slightly swearing there, but I like to call it a big ass problem. If they've got a big ass problem, you've almost got to say to yourself, well, how much is it worth to them to resolve that problem? And you're the person that's standing in front of them, that they've got their hand up saying, can you help me? So that's a much more powerful question to ask yourself. Because otherwise what you're doing is you're focusing on yourself and your ability to charge, your belief in your head as to what your coaching's worth. We're going to come on to price in a minute, yeah. But anyway, the package, you know, you've got, I always say to coaches, look, it's the best way to create a package is to have some sort of model. Nick James from Expert Empires always calls it a framework. It's like, you know, you've got these, like, I like shapes. So I always use a shape. You know, if you could draw it on the board and say you drew a triangle, got 3 points, yeah? You got 3 points. They're my 3 key things in my model. They're my model, my framework. They're the 3 things that I'm going to help them learn that solve their big ass problem, yeah? And then you could divide each one of those into 3 and go, right, to learn that, you need to learn these 3 things and these 3 things and these 3 things. And I'm going to coach you through that. So now what they're doing is they're buying that framework. And that framework is guaranteed to get them a result. I use the word guaranteed loosely, but you're guaranteeing to yourself that you believe that you can get a result. Otherwise, don't sell them the coaching, because that's not congruent. You know, that's just trying to take people's money. But if you're 100% certain you can get them a result, then boom, now you can see how or why they would pay that much money. Now, of course, you could do a payment plan. I tend to say, look, make a payment plan slightly more expensive. So you say, look, there, you know, if, say, for example, you did it over 3 months. So it's 90 days worth of coaching. That's another good way of saying it, 3 months or 90 days, whichever works better for you. And in that time, we're going to cover all these things and we are going to get your problem sorted. Now, I am a massive fan of what I call immersion coaching, because one of the questions you can ask people, you could ask yourself this, it's quite a fun question really, is do you want to resolve this quickly, or would you like to resolve this slowly? So what do you think people are going to say? They're all going to say quickly. So you have to be a bit careful when you say, you know, it's a 90-day program, because in their head, they're going to think they're not going to get a result until 90 days time. So your job is to get them a result really quickly. In other words, in your first session, I always call it an immersion session. So again, I am never talking about hours. So I always say to them, let's put half a day aside for your first session. And before you take any money, you need to get that time in the diary. So I always go, look, because it's open-ended. I don't know how long it's going to take, but we need to give it at least a couple of hours, at least, so they've got some sort of time. But, you know, maybe it'll take 1.5 hours, but maybe it'll take 3 hours. I don't know. My job's to get you a result. And we are going to immerse ourselves in this model, and you're going to outline the model and get them started so that they walk away at the end of that session going, I've called it a session now, the immersion session, they walk away from that going, wow, this is the best thing I've ever done. And they've still got 3 months to go. So you've got to leave them with a wow. You know, I'm such a wow person. If you wow someone, the first thing they're going to do is tell their friends all about you. If you do a session and then go, you've only got a minute left because I've got another client, how does that leave them? You know, that's why I don't do that. You know, so give them a half a day. And I always say, look, you know, we could either do the morning or we could do the afternoon. Which one of those works best for you? And sometimes they'll go, can you do the evening? And I go, well, yeah, if you can give me 1,500 quid, I can do the evening, no problem at all. So you don't tell them that bit, of course. You just say, yes, of course. Just say yes to everything, because then everyone's a winner. And then you just deliver at highest you can. So that's why. And honestly, I always say, look, selling something for £100 is the same level of difficulty as selling something for £1,000. It doesn't make, the money's not the issue. It's their pain versus you being certain that you're going to get them a result. So that's what a package looks like to me. Our relationship package, let's call it that, is, and I tell people, you are not going to resolve this. So I often say to them, so how long have you been in this relationship? They'll go like 10 years, 12 years, 20 years, whatever number of years it is. They're not saying 10 minutes. They're never saying 10 minutes. They're never even saying 6 months. They're always saying a long time. So it's taken you 8 years to get to this state. You know, we are not going to resolve this in 5 minutes. So what Nikki and me guarantee to you is that we will work with you for a whole year. We are going to be on your team and you can connect with us 24/7 for the next year. And then we're going to work our way through the program. And our program is part video-based, part face-to-face. And they have access to us to ask us questions in a WhatsApp group. It's a brilliant package. And we sell that for thousands of pounds. And we convert about 50% of the people that come towards us. So that means our ability to earn money whilst giving phenomenal service to a smallish amount of people is wonderful. It's just a wonderful thing to do. And obviously to see somebody go from massive pain in a relationship to resolving all their issues is a wonderful thing. But that's true of any. I've helped, one of my favorite things to do when I was helping coaches at a high level was to help them get their first client, which is why I always call this how to get your first paying client. It's like, because once you've done that and you've done it for a good amount of money, and then you get a real win, it becomes easier and easier and easier and easier. And you can review your price every year. I would encourage you to do that. Come around Christmas, you go, right, what's my next year's price going to be? Because then in December, when everybody thinks nobody buys everything, but it's actually the time of the year when most people spend more money than ever, you can sell your coaching easily. And one of the things you can do is share that the price goes up on January, whatever it is, and this is your last chance to get it at the old price. So I would review your price every December 31st, do a promo over Christmas. I promise you, you can sell your coaching. Absolutely, without a doubt, because people are in pain over Christmas, funnily enough. They're all supposed to be celebrating, but actually sitting at home, and then they start to realize life maybe is not, as good as it could be, or they try to resolve things and they've got time. So they get on their computer and start looking things up. And it's a time with a little bit of smart marketing, you can move people towards you, and then you can put some, what's the word now? I've forgotten the word now. But anyway, scarcity. You can put some scarcity on the fact that they can buy your coaching now at for next year at last year's price type thing. Yeah. So let's talk about price, because price is important, and I know I've covered it, but I was really covering the package there. So my main thing about the price is you need to be 100% certain of your price. I mean, I always say that my very first coaching client, which I got back in 2001, was a debacle, a complete debacle. But it was the best debacle I could ever ask for, because I got a recommendation. I coached somebody for pro bono practice type stuff, and he had such a great experience. He recommended me to his friend. So he took me to his friend, drove me there. It was quite a way away. And we got there, and the guy was all over the place. Basically, his wife he'd gone on holiday or gone on a business trip or whatever, and he'd come back, and his wife had left him, taken the kids, taken every piece of furniture out of the house, and left him one chair in the kitchen and the dog. And the dog was so upset it half ate the chair. It was like a disaster. Yeah? So it was, very sad. It was my first chance as coaching for money. And then, of course, I've asked him a few questions. I can't say I was that good at it, but because I wasn't. But just fumbled my way through it. And then, of course, he asked me the question that everybody's going to ask, which is, how much is it? And I was so unprepared for that, I can't tell you, because I'm so excited about working with him to see if I could help him solve all his problems. I'd forgotten about how much I was going to charge. So the debacle was that in the moment, words started to come out of my mouth. And I'm sort of going, who's saying that? Because it doesn't feel like that makes any sense at all, but they were coming out of my mouth. So I said this crazy thing to him, but it served me so well, I can't tell you. So sometimes when your intuition speaks, you have to trust it. You just have to trust. And the words that came out of my mouth is, well, it doesn't really work like that. So he's asked me, how much does it cost? And I've said, it doesn't really work like that. And he said, what do you mean? So more words come out of my mouth. And I said, look, how it works is I'm going to come to you, I normally, let's just take a weekend. I did actually ask him, do you want to sort this quickly or slowly? He said, I want to sort it quickly. He's going to. It's a great question. So I said, look, so what normally happens, this was about a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I said, look, I'll come to you on a Friday evening, and I will stay in your house until Sunday afternoon. So we're going to have like 48 hours-ish to solve this problem. So that's what I call proper immersion. Yeah. And then I said this ridiculous statement. And I said, look, at the end, whatever you think it's worth, you give me that. I'm going, who is saying this? This is madness. I've been in business for like 30 years, but as a shopkeeper. So I'm used to sort of people picking something off a shelf and putting the money in a till. So this is very alien to me. Anyway, I said it, and I said, when would you like me to come? So I assumed he was going to say yes. And he said, well, I'm free Friday if you can come Friday. So Friday I went there. I did 2 days worth of crazy coaching, because inside of you, you know so much, as long as you believe that you can make a difference. So I've been to Tony Robbins. I've got loads of tools, loads of things. I'm very good at drawing things on a flip chart. So I remember placking my flip chart in the car, my #1 tool in my toolkit, really, my flip chart and my pens. And I've just gone in. Anyway, we together got an unbelievable result. It was like he was reborn. It was incredible. So then what happened at the end, we're having a hug. It's like Sunday afternoon. I've been there nearly for 48 hours. And we're having a hug at the door. And he gave me an envelope. And so basically I thanked him and got in the car. And I also drove down the road as fast as I can to find a lay-by to open the envelope to find out how much he'd given me. So, but anyway, which I did. And I opened the envelope, and what was so incredible, because this was 2001, yeah, so we're 20 odd years ago, is if money, a number or an amount of money had come out of my mouth, my self-worth as a coach at that time with my first client was probably about 250, 300 pounds. He gave me £1,000. So I always say that he valued me 4 times more than I did. 3 to 4 times more. And so I know if you're certain enough, you're confident enough, your package. So what I did is again, sounds crazy. This is just before I met Nikki as well, is that I didn't bank the check. I didn't. I stuck it on my computer. I had one of those old screens, you know, we don't have the edge big box thing, you know. So I stuck it on the top of the box to remind myself how much my coaching was worth. Because that's a direct way of measuring how much your coaching's worth. So I knew that I was worth £1,000 for a weekend, yeah. So I encourage you to think about it in those terms. Anyway, then I did meet Nikki, and she asked me why the check was stuck on the front of my computer. And actually, it was about 6 months. You know, you get 6 months to bank a check, and then it goes out of date. It was weeks away from the 6 months, and she said to me, "Do you know checks run out after 6 months?" So I always say, well, look, I did a photocopy of it, like you can, stuck that. And I said to her, well, you go and pay it in the bank. So she paid it in the bank, and I always make people laugh by saying she spent it as well. So, which was fun. So, but look, I think we need to just have a price and be super clear on your price. So I'm giving you numbers and things, but you know, make sure your package is solid and make sure you've got a price so that when the price comes out of your mouth, you're not doing the whole stuff that I was doing, but you're certain. Another Tony Robbins saying, I think that's the 4th one today, is certain. The person that's the most certain will always win, or certainty sells. In his business coaching, certainty sells. So if you're fumbling around and are not confident enough, you're going to struggle to make sales. So, number 5.
Yes, Tony, just very rapidly, sorry for interrupting, just keeping a little bit of an eye on time regarding your amount of points so that we can try and get through that.
How much have we got left? How far?
Well, we're basically through with the masterclass part and time for questions. But I mean, I would say take another 10 minutes maybe, and then we have 5 minutes for questions.
Okay, well, I'll fly through these ones, and then the rest you can watch on the videos. Honestly, the videos have got way more detail than I can give you now. Your 10 words in... There we go. Your 10 words embedded means that when somebody says to you, what do? You need to be able to say to them in 10 words or less. I do say, look, if you go to 12, it's not the end of the word. You're not going to explode. But 10 words or less, exactly what you do. And make sure that it's not, your 10 words are not about you. It's about your client. Okay, that's the best I can say. The rest is on the video, yeah? So have 10 words that describe what you do that is about your client and their pain. And maybe you can also get in there, you know, how are you going to transform them? That's also worthwhile. It's a bit of an exercise. It's covered in the videos. So, but I believe that those 10 words will give you certainty in yourself as a coach at a much higher level. If you're, you know, fumbling about when somebody says, what do? And you go, well, I'm a this and I do that and I've done EFT and I've done NLP. This is not the way to get a client. You know, I assist people with this, get this result. That's it. Boom. Then they go, oh, I could do with a bit of help. Or I know Johnny, my mate Johnny, he could do with a bit of that. That's the way. So the 10 words thing is really important. Now, getting your first client, a lot of people think that you've got to do a whole load of marketing. But this whole number 6, get clear on your assets, is how to get your first client really quick without doing any marketing at all. Okay, now the assets are your easiest thing. So it's always like, who do I already know? So you already know your next client. I'm very, very big about this. You either know them or someone you know knows them. Okay, so the assets are things like your phone, in your phone, Matt Elwell. If you've never met Matt Elwell from the ECA, Elite Closing Academy, it teaches closing, how to close sales. So if that's your biggest challenge, he's a good one to go to. He always says, this is not a phone. This is a computer phone. Okay, and I love it because on here he goes, how many phone numbers have you got? So I always get people in the exercise. I go, look in your phone, see how many people are in your phone list. Okay, then look at your emails. How many people have you got their email? Okay, how many people have you got on all your different social medias? Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever else you got, Twitter, and all the other ones. Yeah, just make a list of those, add up all the numbers you've got of each. These are your assets. Now, if you can get them onto a spreadsheet and go, right, I've got red ones. These are people like, you're never going to sell your mum coaching, are you? So you make all the ones that you're never ever going to sell because you just wouldn't. Make all those ones red, and you could even delete them. Yeah, you could make some amber ones, like, I don't really know this person, but they're a possibility. Yeah, or you've got your green list, which are people that you could move towards. So these people are people you can move towards. And in the video, I explain how you can move towards these people. And the rough statistic, which is worth noting down, is use your texts on your phone or WhatsApp. Texts are very, very good, because when you get a text, there's it's more than 95. I think it's a 98% chance that you will read it. In emails, if you send an email, it's only about a 10% chance you're going to read it. So sending texts is an unbelievable way of connecting with people. And in the recording, I explained to people how just sending a simple text could get your client. I mean, like today almost, because people respond. They respond to texts. They definitely read it, and there's a high level of response. What you write needs crafting, of course, but I think this is one of the fastest ways to get a client, is to look at your assets in a different way rather than think about, well, I need a website, I need this, I need that, I need to do all this before I can make a sale. You don't. You just, as long as you've got the other things right, the first 5, then number 6 is the easiest way to get a client. Yeah. So this is then how do you network on and offline with those people? So you've got your list, you've got your assets. What am I going to do with them? So you're basically networking. And actually, I don't want to use too long now on this little story, but in football, there's a thing known as getting the second ball. So this means that when the goalie kicks the ball up the field, it's a bit of a hope. It's a bit of a hope. The ball goes in the air. There's a couple of people trying to get underneath it. But what the smart teams do is they try to get underneath it and head it to one of their players. And that's called getting the second ball. What that means in terms of networking is that you can write to people that you know, tell them what you're doing very quickly. Look, I've now do this, this, and this. Your 10 words, basically. And I wondered if you know anyone in your network that might benefit from me helping them. That's the second ball. So it's like they know someone that could help you. Now, when you do this, of course, what's magic about it is that they don't feel sold to, because you haven't asked them, can I help you? You're saying, do you know anyone I can help? But of course, if what you've said, the 10 words resonate with them, they might actually go, well, actually, you could help me with that, because that's my problem right now. I've had that happen. It's amazing. Yeah. So the way you network using your assets without doing any marketing, at least exhaust all of the people in your assets while maybe putting together a bit of a marketing program, will get your clients very quickly. So number 8, of course, it's all about, Tony Robbins' word is massive action. You have to take massive action. You can't sit back and go, well, yeah, I'll do that next week. So it's planning. One of the things that we teach a lot is planning. So finding some way of planning what you're going to do and then tick it off. Nikki and me, we have a meeting every Monday morning, and we talk about our plan. We have a year-long plan. We break that into quarters, and then each quarter we're working week on week, ticking things off. That's how we get things done, and that includes moving towards clients. Yeah. Obviously, Master Coach was all about using powerful questions. I've hoped I've shared a few powerful questions, but just the 0 to 10 is a powerful question. If you keep using that, you will keep eliciting people's gap. And once you've elicited their gap, because remember, they came up with a number, you didn't come up with a number. Your job is to find out what's in the gap. And then if you believe your program can resolve and close that gap, that's when you're now in there looking to move towards them. And that's about closing the deal. And closing the deal is about ultimately making sure you're a good fit, sharing a little bit about your program, but mostly how your program was designed. If it is, it's got to be congruent to resolve the problem that they've got, get them a result, and that's the easiest way then to close the deal. So I've flown through the last points there on speed, but actually let me see if I can get the links. Have you got the links, Julie? Could we put them in the chat, or do you want me to find them?
If you do have them, it would be easier because I have so many things open on screen right now.
Right,
but
okay.
let me see.
I've got, let me just
Otherwise, you take the questions and I'll look for them. Aileen has posted a few things I see in the list.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, so I've given you a link to it's in what's called the Master Coach community. That you will see these 10 videos. They're in a place called guides, but I've given you the link and it will take you straight to the guides. And then literally watch, plan it each day, just go, right, I need to watch number 1 today, number 2 tomorrow, and then get your notebook and work your way through it. There is quite a long, like a webinar-y thing I did, which had a bit of a special offer on, but that was in 2018, so you won't be able to participate in that. But you'll get the gist of how you could do this as well. It's actually a very good marketing tool to do the 10 things. Many people do it on Facebook now. It's called, I was doing this years ago, but they nowadays call it Facebook challenges. It's a Facebook challenge where you do a little bit each day, call them to action, boom, you might get some sales doing that. So there are people out there that teach that stuff.
Sorry for the delay. It's just taking for ages to open. Aileen, maybe you could ask your questions directly if you felt like it.
Yes, of course. So, Julie, are you going to put that link in the chat, or
if I manage to open my email in time?
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Otherwise,
I'll find it anyway. I know we've got to cut off.
Yeah. So, just a couple of things. You said that I may give them half a day. I might block half a day to speak with them in that immersion. Session, the first one. Is that your introduction before you even got any money?
No.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
No. Because look, you can't. I think that's one of the most dangerous things to do ever as a coach, is to do an introductory session or a free session. Like, try me out. There's no commitment from them. Their commitment level is too low. So the chance use, because they'll want a resolution like fast. And maybe you'll get them something, but the worst thing that happens if you do that is that they tend to go, yeah, well, okay, let me just work on that bit now. And then I come back to you and buy some. Honestly, that's absolutely a no. All coaching, in my opinion, needs to be paid for upfront. All of it, Now, obviously, you can put them on a payment plan. That's okay. And sure, you do run the risk. We have a payment plan, a 12-month payment plan for our program. And you do run the risk of them, stopping paying. But the way I actually do it, I'm not forcing them to do this. I don't make them sign anything, but I do it with a sort of a moral, let's say it's a moral code between us. So if somebody goes for the payment plan, I always say, look, if after 30 days, which I know this is never going to happen, but if after 30 days, you've got absolutely nothing from working with me and Nikki, it's not working for you, it's a complete waste of time, you don't like it, then, basically we will turn the payment plan off. I do not say to them that we will give them their money back, because they've had 30 days with me. Yeah. So, you know, I'm going, well, you're paying for 30 days, but I'm happy to turn the rest of the payment plans off, and I'll turn everything else off as well. So you can't have my training, and you know, you're done. You're out the WhatsApp group. That's my deal. But after that, you can't turn it off. Now, the truth is they could stop paying. They could go to their bank and go, you know, stop paying that. But, you know, it's a moral deal. It's a moral deal. So I've never had anybody actually cancel because they know they've got 30 days, you know. So, and actually, if they do pay in full, I actually say to them, you know, if you want to cancel after the 30 days, then I will give you back 11/12 of whatever it is you paid. If you have not got a result or you think it's not working, I don't want to keep your money if it's not working for you. Nobody's ever done that either. Because, you know, I know that we are going to give them everything we've got to get them a result. Everything we can. So that's the way I would handle it. But don't ever give them a trial session. I just don't go with that.
Right. So you will have a chat with them, and then if they want to go ahead, they book it and they pay.
Yeah, the order and sequence is get it booked in the diary first, because that gives them certainty that you're focused on them, on their result, rather than take the money first. Yeah. So then, but you can take the money while they're there. Yeah. So we get it all booked in the diary. Yeah. We put next Tuesday morning aside, you know, we'll start at 10 o'clock. Yeah. And we'll go till we're done, you know, and that's up to you. You're in charge as the coach. You're in charge. It's your job to make sure you manage the time, but we're not doing it like it's 2 hours or an hour and a half. That's, you know, you're giving them what they need so that they've been wowed. Remember, that's the big thing. So they feel like on the first time with you, they've got massive value and they want more. And they've got maybe a bit of homework or whatever that might look like. You know, it's your thing. You do it your way. But then we take their money. So you do have to make sure you've got the ability to take their money. So a lot of people trip up with that. They trust them and say, oh, they'll say, I'll put it in the bank. And then they, you know, they'll have a, you know, and then they don't put it in the bank. And it gets to like, you know, Tuesday morning and you go, well, they still haven't paid. That's a terrible position to be in. Because what am I going to do now? You know, now you feel like it's difficult to chase them. It's very difficult to chase them. And, you know, they might have talked to Uncle Nobby or whoever, and Uncle Nobby's gone, oh, you don't want to get involved with them coaches. They're all terrible. They're all charlatans. And boom, Uncle Nobby's now ruined all your hard work. So making sure that you have the ability to take the money. And once you've taken the money, you need to give them a sensational welcome email or an onboarding, whatever that looks like. This is really crucial. So as soon as somebody's paid you, you need to start giving them value and you need to give them certainty, because it's not tangible, is it? You know, when you go and buy a handbag, you walk out the shop with a handbag. When you buy coaching, you know, you've got nothing to show for it except your promise that you're going to deliver. So the email that you send them needs to say things like, firstly, great to meet you. Thank you so much for trusting me to get you this result. I need to just share that your payment went through beautifully. That's all resolved. And this is what it looks like, and tell them what the, you know, the package looks like so they know what they're getting. Certainty, certainty, certainty. And then, you know, if you've got them booked in for next Tuesday, make sure they've got the Zoom link. You know, honestly, if you haven't given the Zoom link early, or at least told them that you're not going to get, we'll give you the Zoom link like 30 minutes before the call, then they've got certainty. But if you leave them hanging so that they're in a place of uncertainty, that's the worst thing you can do. So confirmation email, certainty, 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 and then it's your job to deliver magic coaching to them. Get them a result in the first session, but now they can't back out. You know, they're not going to back out. They won't want to back out because you've done such a great job. That's the way I always say to coaches, this is how you serve. It's about service at the highest level. You know what it's like if you go to a restaurant and the service is a bit sloppy. You know, do you want to go back? Well, not really. But do you tell your friends, oh, I went there, didn't really like it there. But if you go to a great restaurant and the service is great, you tell everyone, oh, you've got to try that restaurant. It's unbelievable. So you need to do the same. It's wowing your clients is one of the best things you can do as a coach. It will grow your business. I promise you, the last 3 clients Nick and me have had, which have spent, you know, more than £10,000, which is fantastic as a coach to get all that money in your bank, all paid in full. And so they get a bit of a discount for paying in full. And they were all recommendations, no marketing required. So they've all come from people who we've helped before. That's the magic of it, really.
Amazing words of wisdom, I must say, Tony. And also to finish with that idea of, service at the highest level, because that is what we're all about, right? I mean, thank you very, very much for all of this. I mean, I feel like, wow. I mean, I think whatever stage of your career you're at, or how many years you've been coaching, I mean, it was very all-inclusive. I've been scribbling like mad. I don't think I've written that much in years. I found it very inspiring, very practical. And some of it, yes, might be stuff that we'd already seen, but you certainly bring it in a very easy to understand, and I certainly feel very enthused to go out there and actually walk the talk with what you've given us. So thank you very much.
Brilliant. I was just checking to see if I can find the link for you.
Have I can you see them?
Yeah, but that doesn't work, Julie. It's not
I just
working.
copied what you gave me, David, Tony, I mean.
Did you put it into the box, into the chat box?
Yeah, I did.
This content isn't available at the moment.
Well, we will make sure you get them. We'll make sure that the links are added when we'll make sure that this comes to you. I mean, this I've just basically just copied in what you gave me, Tony, but maybe we need to check the links. We will get back to you with those, no problem, because we all definitely want to listen to this. So the more we can soak in from you, the better. I wish you a wonderful rest of your holiday, and thank you for sharing that with us. For the rest of you, do make it happen, fill this into your CVD accounts, write it down and literally take action, as Tony was saying. Thank you very, very much for being here with us today on IAPC&M. Goodbye, everyone.
Tony, excellent. Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.